here in the shop. I'm working on carburetors for my Honda ST 1100, and I wasn't going to film any, and then I got part ways through it and I thought I'll show cleaning one carb on it. I have this one done and this one's almost done, and I thought I'd show it, so if anything entertainment, or if you're going to do a carburetor, I'll show you some things to watch for and what I do and what works for me. This was the carburetor that was on the bike, that it sets like this. That's the front of the bike, and this is the one where there was some gas coming from. I'm not sure if it was coming from one of these lines. I've really looked, I don't see any cracks, but the tubing's getting hard. It's old. It could be the original stuff. And I have some tubing that is the same size, and I think I can make up a new one for this. I'd really like to. And what I used to do years ago was I would take a carburetor. Now these four don't have to come apart to rebuild, so I'm going to rebuild them and leave them together. I clean one at a time. And I first went out and I sprayed all this down with carb cleaner, and I had it in a pan, and I would brush it and clean it. But I didn't spray any inside here, because these that go up and down, that is black. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking maybe it's ceramic coated. I don't know what it is, so I'm not going to spray anything in there. You don't want to put any chemicals on that till you know. So when I open this one up, I'll show what it is. In fact, it's plastic. So you have to be careful with plastic that you get it on. Like you have electrical cleaner for connectors, and it says it's plastic safe. And even that, I didn't want to spray on it or anything. I want to take it out and get away from it. And then when I clean this one carb inside with the carb cleaner, I'll make sure I don't get any in here on these other ones. I don't want that on the plastic. And why I didn't quite finish this was I thought I would show what I do. I'm ready to put the float bowl on this one. I have done this one, and that was the one where the fuel was coming from, and in the bottom was a lot of crud. There was crud in there. This one wasn't quite as bad over here, but it had a lot of stuff in, and it's actually got some etching in the metal itself from whatever was in there. Maybe just from fuel over the years or whatever, but I cleaned it out and it's ready to go back on. So the first part I'm going to show is when I go to put this, well, when I got my stuff, it was in this container and everything's jammed in there. And these gaskets, I laid them out and left them lay for a while, but they're the right ones, but they're a little wrinkled. It's like you get them and they're just thrown in there and they're squashed, and they don't want to set down in the groove just perfect. I'm having a little trouble. And I got to make sure with taking this all out and going through all this, that when I put them back, they're sealed. So I'm going to bring the camera in closer, get it in here somehow, and show how I'm going to take care of that gasket. And if you hear a little bit of noise, it's my diesel heater running. It's about 45 out, so I ran the furnace one cycle, then I put my diesel heater on. I'm good in here. And something you really need when doing some of this is one of these. It's a kit, and these are all little wires that are cleaners for carburetor jet holes. And what they are is they have some really tiny ones. They're in different sizes, and I doubt if you could see it, but the end of this, I'll take the biggest one so it's bigger to show. The end of this is smooth, and back here it's smooth, but in between you feel it. It's almost like a file. It's real like teeth on it. It's like, it's not a brush. It's like they probably stamp that and turn it and make little grooves in it, and that's what cleans it out. So when you go to do a jet, and I'll show later, because there's one jet thing in there that they didn't give me that I have to clean and put back in. And what you do is you always go with one smaller, go through the holes and work your way up, and never force one. Say this one would almost fit, don't jam it. Use the one smaller, and just like you're filing, just go in and out a little bit, you're done. The outside I clean with a brass wire brush on a drill press. I go real easy with it. I don't force it against it. I just get all the stuff to it. It's a shiny brass again. And then I clean it out with carb cleaner. I take it outside and I put the straw in the end, wear safety glasses, and there's holes on the side. When you spray it to clean it, you want to watch it, those are out to the sides and not straight up at your face. You know, and you'll spray it, you'll see it coming out all the holes. I think there's 5 holes up across there. There's 4 together and then 1 up at the top. And you want to get them cleaned out, and I'll show that. But let me reset the camera and show you about this gasket. And this could work for any gasket you're going to put on a bike. I've cleaned the float bowl out. I had the bottom screw out of it where you drain it to clean it if you don't want to take it off the bike. And what I used to use to clean these were, I would get a gallon can of gunk carb cleaner. There was only 3 quarts in it, due to the fact that it had a screen in it with a handle, and you'd pull it up and down and you could put parts in there, and you could actually take this carburetor all apart, put it down in there and soak it, and then bring it out, rinse it off, and clean it that way. Well, the gunk cleaner used to be around $14 for that can, and there's 3 quarts in it. So I looked at it, they still have it, $53 and change for that, and that's without tax. I'm like, wow. So I looked around and I found this gallon of cleaner and degreaser Formula 88, and I got it at Advanced Auto. It was $10. $10 for a gallon, where that 3 quarts was going to be $54, $55. I'm like, I'll go with this. Now this, they say you can soak it in it, or you can wipe it on or spray it on, then wait a while, then rinse it with water. So I'm using it for any parts I take off. I'll clean with this. And some of these carburetors in here, parts, I have taken like a toothbrush and dipped it in it and washed it, then I'd wipe it clean. And I've taken Q-tips and went down in there. I want to get all the dirt off the outside. I like to have the thing clean. So now I start with this gasket that I'm having trouble. There's no way I can get this in there without putting something to hold it and let it set a little bit. And I tell you, this stuff comes out of China. It's like this one don't fit. You know, the other one, it fit pretty decent, it wouldn't stay in. Now this one fits, look, right in there. But this one, it's like it's made too big. And I don't want to really use the old one, because these aren't round like an O-ring. These are kind of flat on the sides. It's more flat than anything. But it's just, this one here, I'll use it till the last. And this one, it looks like it's the same as that. It's like they got two different ones. That don't look like it fits. It's like, if you look at it, it's got a Z-bend there where this one don't. It's got a Z-bend there where this one don't. It's the way it was made. And this one's got Z-bends. It don't have a Z-bend up there, but it has one here. It's like, you know, what's going on here? But to make it easy for this, I'll take one that's pretty close to start with. But it's going to have to be held, because I turn that over, that's going to come out. There's no way I'm going to hold that in there. So what I've got is, I get some toothpicks, and I take a piece of card, And up here, here, I'm going to use some this gray high temp gasket maker. You could actually put this in there, a big bead of it, and make it, but I'd rather use the gasket. But I'm just using this. You could use like maybe a little red silicone, or that stuff that looks like the gasket maker, the old type that's real sticky. I mean, whatever you touch with it, it's stuck. It's really sticky. But this here I had, and I thought I'm going to use it. Then when you open these, they're always sealed shut. So what I do is I run a screw in and out of there to let it come out, no matter how you seal it. Okay, I'm getting some now. There. Got the gasket maker. So I'm going to start right up in here and work my way down. And also, I didn't want to take those, go through it taking all them carburetors apart. And I'm hoping on the sides there's a part, oh, what's it called? Air cutoff valve. I got new ones. So I got that sealer in there, gasket maker, so I can push. Then when I go to put this on, there's an important part, really important, of putting these gaskets in. You want to make sure, I'm going to make really sure that it's sealed before, you know, it's put in and done with. Over here, I don't think I need quite as much. It lays in there pretty good, but you want it in there. Then on the sides of the, you know, like if you take a side cover off your bike, the big side cover, and you're going to put a new gasket in, you don't want to put glue on it. What we used to do, this is old school, is they would take, and it was like the paper gasket that would lay over it. What would take is take a piece of thread and tie it through this hole and tie it on each hole to hold the gasket, then put it on, and it would be fine. That's old school stuff. And this gasket is actually like flat, but it has grooves on here that kind of squash down and seal better. It's like an unusual type gasket. And it came in the kit. But I imagine, you know, China, they're beating them out pretty good. They're going to get worse because they're mad at us for shooting down their balloons. Always something. You shot down our balloons, we're going to show you. We're going to give you some bad gaskets. Okay, there. There, now that ought to hold that in place till I get it on. Now here's the important part that I really want to show. And I've been doing this with stuff like this, and it always works for me. Now I'm going to bring this down. Look, I got a fly in here. Bring the cat out. Cats will eat them. Okay, so I cleaned all that, put new jets in here. There's one jet there someplace that they didn't give me down in here. I had to clean. Now I'm very carefully going to set this down on there. Let's see how it goes this way. Yeah, had it backwards. And I put that plug back in there, and they give you no new O-ring for that drain plug. And I'm working it down. Now here's the important part. That is probably, I'd say 99.99999. that it's going to hold like that, that it's flat and everything. But I want to make sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these screws in. Now see, I tightened that. This side lifted, so I'm going to back it off a little bit and go across the opposite side. You want to tighten it down really even. But I'm not even going to tighten it clear down, and I'll show why. Let me get the screws in here. There's another one. I'm going to get down until I just start touching. Okay, it's just down, barely touching. That's 3. 3 and 4. Okay. I'm just snugging it down right now. Now it's pretty hard, you can do it, but it's pretty hard to see in around there to see if that gasket's in place or if it come out and it's pinched. It looks good. Now, that's only snug down. I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm going to go with the next carburetor and completely clean it and get it till where I just have this part that I put on here until I'm down to that. That's my last step. I'm going to leave that go that long. Then what I'm going to do is take this back off, look at it, turn it over, look at it. It should be in the groove perfect. I'll put it back on, then I'll tighten it up. The reason I do that is if I take it off, I can look at it and see, did it come out and get pinched? Is it okay? And if worse come to worse and say I cut it or, you know, did have it pinched and it cut, I can always, you know, like I said, put this in there, but I would find a nice, the best one I have, and I would put silicone on both sides of it. I'd put it in a groove, put it in, and put some on top, then tighten it down. But like this, that's fine for now. And I know when I get the other carburetor and I'm just ready to put that cap on, I don't put it on. I come back to this one. So this one is the one that has the loose. And I know because I started this way. This one was the leaked one, so I did it first, did this one second. So this will be the one that I'll check that bottom. And when I go to tighten, you know, take it out, I'll see it's loose. So let's start with another carburetor. I'll turn it around this way. Now the front is facing me, the front of the bike, and it don't matter which one. I'll start because this is closer to the camera right here. So the first thing I am going to do, if I'm a screwdriver, is I'm going to take this top off, and these are tight. Might need a bigger screwdriver. There. And if you're gonna, you know, I know, like I have so many screwdrivers, this and that. This is a set of Craftsman, and they are good. The ends are good. They really grab. When I'm working on something like this on the bike, the car and that, I get these. The old ones I use, I can pry on them, you know, or this and that, I don't care. But these are my go-to screwdrivers, Craftsman. You need a really good set. There. And I don't know, you know, it's funny how they give you these screws, they give you new ones for it. They give it for the top and they give it for that bottom piece I just put on. It's like, well, are they really going to be bad? If you strip one, it's going to be the threads probably, you know, in the hole, not the bolt. Usually that strips out, you know. and then you got to fix it or do something with it. But I put them in, they give me them to me new. And then what I'll do is I'll clean these other ones and put them in a box someplace. If I ever lose a screw or need one, I got it. Now this is spring loaded. It has a spring in the top. I'm holding it so it don't fly off. And I ease it up. Take that cap. Now I'll throw this in that degreaser I have and let it set for a while. Take the spring out. Now there's a diaphragm in here with your plunger, and there's a little lobe right here, and when you put the cap back on, well, this has to go right in there. I was going to order these. I didn't. I forgot about them, but I've checked them and they're all like brand new. It's maybe somebody replaced them. I know the guy I bought the bike off of said the year before I got it he had rebuilt all these. Then when you go to put this back on, you can see there's an extra little piece there. It goes right over this, and I'll pull this out and show what it is. It's got a little hole in it, and that's the diaphragm. I push it down. Now this needle in here is a little spring loaded. It moves just a hair. To get this apart, to put the new one in, I have a new one, and I took micrometers and I checked the size of this and the size of the old one, and they're exactly the same. I just wanted to check to make sure. Now you take a Phillips screwdriver, you go down in here, and I can never show it on. I can get it to show it once it comes out. There's a hole in the middle with a Phillips, and this is plastic, so you have to be careful, and you just turn it loose there, and it comes right up out of there. It came up with the screwdriver, and they say you can use a needle to push it up, and there it is. That little plastic, it goes down in and turns and locks, and it has a little spring that's on a little nodule there. I'll be pulling that apart so I can clean this thing. I scrub it in water with dish soap. So I'll lay that over there. Then here's my old needle, and the one needle, I looked at it just for the heck of it, and this one does too. There's a little wear mark here. It's hard to see, but it's like a shiny spot. It must be where it's hitting, and I believe this is aluminum. Then there's a washer up in there I got to get. Oh, it's in there. It's staying in there. Now when I clean this, I took a little bit of soap and water, and I washed this here, and I washed this. I washed it all out and dried it. Then I put just a little bit of Armor All on one of these blue shop rags. I use these. I won't use much of the paper towel around because it can pull apart. You can get little pieces here and there. You don't want to do that. This is more like a cloth. So I cut it into strips, and I'll use it to wash this, and then I'll use some, and I'll put just a little Armor All on this rubber only. Now this part is plastic. I would dry it real good. You know, when I wash it, I'll wash it like maybe with a toothbrush real easy, but I don't ever sand it or anything like that. You know, no matter how fine the sandpaper is, because you're going to put microscopic scratches on that, you want that to float up and down in there real easy. So this here, it'll be just washed real easy, then rinsed, dried, and then I'll take a piece of this and just wipe it clean, and that's it. But the top part, I'll be using a little bit of Armor All on it to keep the rubber nice. So that's everything out of the top of it. Now I can turn it over and I'm going to turn it around so I'm facing the right way. That's this one here. Now we get into the carbs and the jets. The heck's that pushing on that wire? That's good. Okay, now this one. Oh man, is that tight. Oh, let me try this one. Oh my God. Wow. That makes you think that this was never opened up. I don't know. I just don't know. He said he rebuilt the carbs, but they should never be in that tight. Now from the factory, they crank them down. They have them air things, they yam them in, and you know. Yeah, that one came. And they give you new screws for this. And if I'm right, I don't think there was any washers on this, and they didn't give you any with it. Yeah, there is a washer on that one. I was thinking there wasn't. No, there's none on here. So I know there was no washers, because if there had been washers on the other ones, so you don't know what to do. Ah, got it. Now that might help loosen the other two up. Once this is out, it might come up just like a, you know, a few thousandths to help the other ones come out, loosen them up on them. If they don't, I have a small impact driver I'll put on theirs and just tap it. Okay, that's keep them separate. And I put all my stuff over here, then all my new stuff's on that side. You want to keep them separate. I mean, you can kind of look at them and tell, but it just makes it easier. Oh, man. Come on. Oh. There. Woo! I think it was a Suzuki Boulevard of mine. And so many things. I know it was never, stuff was never taken apart, and stuff I do. Oh my God, was it tight. It was from the factory, and I mean, they tighten stuff. Oh, got it. Wow. Wow, that was tough. Okay. There's a float bowl. There's the gasket, and see this gasket, it looked like it had ribs like the new ones, but it really, you know, you feel it, it's flat, and it's probably from being squeezed. I think it's made like that, so it's kind of making it like crushable. And you can see in here this I don't know what you call it, it's just like from being dried. I know he said the bike sat a good while. It was his dad's, this one. And then he said he got it and he rode it. I usually have a screwdriver I can get down in there. I don't want to put a hole in that unless I have to. That broke. That one was so old. So that one definitely won't be ever used again. It's no good. I put all my used stuff up here in this little container. So that's ready to be cleaned. That can go in the degreaser. Now, here's where you get into the meat of it. These are the jets. There's one here and there's two here,